This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news and intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversations. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
You're listening to Talking Heads with Naughty and Mary Jane. Only on Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM.
I care less what workers of iniquity. Rastafari, it's my security. Chimney, and I'm going out and coming in.
Talking Heads with Naughty is brought to you by Burger King, City of Hope, Fine Threads, John's Department Store, Joker's Wild, Kelly's Home Center, KFC, Naughty Johnny's, NRG Nutrition, Percy's Island Games, Pinder Towel, Prince Masters, Sandcastle Bahamas, Tropical Gyros, and the Water and Sewage Corporation.
On my journey, them can't see me. My purpose in me can't write off. Let me be a shield for me, reveal to me. The bad guy, but hesitate for us to seal for me. I lay, and I'm going out and when my forward in. Never leave, I ain't a job. Keep me far from vampires. And I'm going out and coming in. Keep me far from demons. Keep me far from Satan. More time I can't believe. Feel for grief. Flesh them a tear and them coming at me.
You got it locked and loaded to the Wednesday, May 7th edition of Talking Heads. Your boy Naughty along with Mary Jane and your company right up until 6 p.m. It is Wednesday, the Wednesday edition, hump day. And of course, you know, we got to get over the hump together because that's what we need to do. Yeah, one leg at a time.
Sure, why not?
Come on. You halfway over, pull me over. I'm halfway over, pull you over, MJ.
Sure,
Let's go.
let's do it.
Let's do that then.
Yeah.
So, I can tell you, man, it's been, for a short week so far, but there's been a lot going on. A lot that we need to talk about. And, you know, if you want to chime in and you know, express yourself on things that got your goat or, you know, what's, you know, got you fired up, you know, this is how you chime in.
Here's how you can become a talking head, brought to you by BTC.
Tax lines powered by BTC, 422-GR96, that's 422-4796. Phone lines open in New Providence, 323-6232, 325-4259, 325-4316. Toll free to anyone in the Family Islands, 242-300-5720, 242-300-5720. Stream us live, take us wherever you want to go. GuardianTalkRadio.com. That's GuardianTalkRadio.com. Jay, what's good?
You tell me. I know we're getting into headlines, right?
Yeah, we should get into the headlines. I wanted to know what's good with you. I mean, we could get to the headlines, but I mean...
Like, really? You see me
Wednesday.
every day, like, really?
I mean, tell me something good then. Because you're looking... I'm
I
about to go
can't
into the
tell you
headlines.
anything good. I mean,
I don't know
it
if
is
to
what
laugh
it
or to
is.
cry. I see headlines in other
Actually,
dailies about, you know, atrocities in
On a
Abaco.
serious note, I was just going to go to that. The headline in one of the dailies is really saddening and sickening. And it kind of had me depressed because usually I read the paper at around like 6 a.m. in the morning. I think that's when I look at the papers for the first time. And I wanted to just go back to bed,
Time out.
crawl under the covers.
Let's get this for context. It's about, you get the paper at 6:02 because about 5:59, you give me your best Bill Chamberlain.
No, because
It's
the
paper time.
alarm goes off. You get up really, really early in the morning.
And then
but-
by 6:02, I make sure I have them back to you. So you can, you know, I could fall whatever after that. I just need to get back to sleep. But you have your headlines.
The headline in the Tribune today was actually very, very painful.
Yeah.
Sex attack in Abaco shelter. I mean, you get these kind of headlines. We're not at such a point where we're, acclimated to just hearing these things, or it's not normalized yet where we see these things and it's like, oh, okay, well, just another attack. No, it actually stirs a lot in a lot of Bahamians. It saddens us. It angers us. It makes us wonder, what are we doing wrong? What needs to change? And I think we have some of those answers, But the fact that change isn't happening the way we want it to or at the speed is very frustrating. And my heart goes out to that young teenager that was attacked. It's a sad
My
state.
regard to the victim and their family. And again, though, on top of all what you said, for me, it's another, damn, Abaco again. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just, you know.
And
When you think, from when this show started, Roscoe and I have been talking, and you on occasion, about the situation in Abaco. There's enough that they're going through already.
and now they have this.
Then they have, that's your initial red tape and stuff
terrible.
to ease access or doing business to get
Right.
rebuilt.
But they have
still got a
this.
housing situation. You still got an immigration situation. You still got the
The
fires.
fires.
All of that.
And on top of it,
Post-Orient, on top of
this.
everything now, a big, ugly, nasty
For our
lump of coal
Abaconians. Yeah,
is this. And it's atrocious.
it is. Especially
And it
the
speaks
location
to the lack
that
of,
it happened. It's
of resources, because if there's, Roscoe goes to bat for the police down there, and I go to bat for them because obviously they're under duress. And when they get to a situation where you don't have housing for police, for customs and immigration officers, for nurses, for doctors, you're going to have issues. And then on top of that, if you need X amount of officers down there and are operating, still on a skeleton force, that's not good either.
And I think the worst part of it is that a lot of these things fall under national security. And I think,
Don't get me started.
I gave the minister a fair shot. I really, really did. I was really, really hoping. Matter of fact, when we interviewed him before the last election, I was actually hoping that he would end up in another ministry because I thought he would do better there. But if we're being quite honest, this has been a disappointment. Big fat disappointment.
I think I don't see it as harshly as you do. I would like to say, do what they do. And the Minister of National Security would tell me to continue doing what I do, which is telling jokes, post joke as well, because I'm excellent at what I do. I would tell the Minister of National Security, throw yourself into being the King's Counsel, defense attorney that you are. You are par excellence. You may be the best, if not the best, one of the best in the history of this country.
I think we just need something different.
But as far as politics goes,
no.
as long as you keep
running
doing
a ministry goes.
and running the ministry goes, you are now fodder for me because you are making the jokes easy to write.
Not doing what
Please.
It's not doing what we wanted to do.
It's
at all.
not working. And I know the angles and perspectives and a lot of ways people look at it, but at the end of the day, listen, if I got an issue in private life and I need a good representative, I come into you. But as far as politics and the ministry and the constituency, not so much. Now, let's keep it moving. Headlines today, and we're going to check them out.
It's time for Headliners. Everything that's making headlines in the 242. Brought to you by the Fine Threads.
And here's what's blazing up the pages of the Nassau Guardian, News and Views that matter since 1844. Big one, right out the gate.
In the Guardian.
In the Guardian. That's why I said Nassau Guardian, News and Views.
Yeah, go ahead. Finish it off.
Rubio warns on China.
Really? So security was the main focus for Rubio. What a surprise.
That's MJ speak for I told you so last week.
I'm
Thank
just
you.
saying that I said last week when they talked about the Prime Minister visiting Washington, which he did. We saw some of the photos come out late last night and I guess early this morning or maybe late yesterday. But everything the Americans do at this point, I'm viewing through, and it all comes down to no matter which roundabout way they go, what other policies they kind of inject into the conversation or however they try to frame these things. Everything now, particularly with the new administration, the Trump administration, surrounds security. So it's no surprise to me, and I'm quite sure that our friends in the Office of the Prime Minister were listening last week when I said to you, yes, tariffs are a concern. Yes, tariffs are a problem, but the 10% they slapped us with was like a kind of like a token tariff. Like, oh, yeah, you get a tariff too, but it's 10%.
Like an Oprah tariff. You get a tariff, you get a tariff, and you get a tariff too.
Particularly with Mr. Rubio and the position that he occupies, he's now filling that spot that Mike Waltz filled in, which is in the national security advisor. Everything is going to be focused on the U.S. security and particularly as it respects, with respects to China. So I'm quite sure that our friends in the OPM were listening, and they prepared
But
our
I've
prime
been telling
minister
you that. I mean,
appropriately.
Well,
Tariffs.
I don't know about that because if you look
Well,
at
I
the
hope
picture,
so.
if you look at the picture, it says, and the rest of the headline says, U.S. Secretary of State again urges government against facilitating Cuban forced labor as well.
Of course, that would be a conversation, but that too leads back to security. I mean, if they're being real about the situation in the United States right now, they do have certain ideals that the world, admires, but it's quite clear from this current administration that it is America first. So whatever policy ideas they have in mind, whatever they seek to accomplish, and whatever they have to use to get to that end game that they want to get to, they will use. So yes, I'm sure they're concerned about what's happening in Cuba.
Now,
I'm sure they're concerned about what's happening in Cuba.
Especially with the nursing situation here.
I'm sure they're concerned about that.
I'm looking at, thank you. I'm just looking at this picture, right? And if you want me to caption it, right?
Yeah.
If I could caption our prime minister, Marco, you know me, Marco.
Yeah, I know, right?
Marco, why you announcing me, Marco? Marco, why you ghost me?
Marco Rubio.
Marco, why you ghost me? Marco Rubio, why you ghost me? Why you ghost me? Marco, I know you. And now here's Marco's reply. Good to see you, Brave. Listen.
He doesn't have that accent, but go ahead.
I have concerns, okay? I love your nation. Beautiful country.
You
I love
rid of
you.
that accent.
I love you. However,
He does, I think.
you have too much affection as a country for, fried rice and Cuban cigars. And that's a concern, buddy.
Okay, I think you said enough. But speaking of Mr. Rubio, I think he does have a certain affection for the Bahamas because he's more practical. He's more pragmatic.
You can't tell me Brave didn't say, Marco.
What you dealing with,
I'm looking
Marco?
at him. What you dealing with, Marco?
Because
I couldn't answer my
me
call.
and I know you.
Hey, we know each other, Marco. You couldn't return a call?
He's in a new position now. The last version of Marco we knew was as a senator from the state of Florida, which, of course, we have strong ties with the state of Florida.
Correct.
But now he's Secretary of State. Now he's in national security. So I think we met a different version of Marco that says, hey, what's going on with China? Hey, what's going on with Cuba? And the two tie in, you can make the connections yourselves.
Now, if you buck up on DeSantis, that may be a different story because, DeSantis got on them rocker boots.
He's a lame.
Stephen Tylers.
Lame duck now. Anyway.
But anyway, like I said, you did say a week out, be prepared for those kind of questions.
Be prepared
so
for that.
I don't think, the whole tariff situation, that's just a little bit done.
Yes.
U.S. cites Bahamas over a handling of child abduction. Story by Rachel Scott. In its 2025 annual report on international child abduction, the U.S. State Department lists the Bahamas as one of 15 countries demand non-compliant with the Hague Abduction Convention,
My goodness.
which protects against the international abduction of children by their parents. Of those 15 countries, the Bahamas was the only one not cited in last year's report, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio noted.
I'll reserve my comments.
I'll reserve my comments as well, too. SANS, another PLP term, would leave 26,000 in worse health. Free National Movement Chairman Dr. Dwayne Sands yesterday said that at another 5 years of the Progressive Liberal Party would leave more than 26,000 Bahamians in worse health by 2031. Sands, a former Minister of Health, said Bahamians are already paying the price of the PLP's incompetence. He said if the party is given another 5 years, 1 in 5 Bahamian families will face even poorer health outcomes with nowhere to turn.
Yeah, I guess I'm like the typical Bahamian now. I don't believe in another 5 years unless you've done what you promised me for the first 5 years. I don't want to hear nothing but no more extra time. I don't want to hear nothing but, if you just
And I'll take it a step
chance.
further.
I don't want to hear
I
that.
think within the first 2 years, if the electric don't see any kind of movement, you already done.
And if you, as you
You
get
dead administration walking.
as you get older, you don't have that kind of time to play around with. If you make promises, and that's one thing you could kind of say about the Trump administration, like he come out guns blazing. Now you may not like the policies that he's put in place, but guns blazing, 100 days, show me what you got. Because after that, we know it's lone coasting, jiving, playing, talking crazy.
Gerrymandering, like they say back in the day.
Talking crazy.
How about
and I'm
BS and
not
boat
trying to hear it.
skating?
All of that stuff. And I'm not trying to hear it. So, yeah, don't even worry about worrying but 5 years. Because if you can't do it in this, Dealey wrote the note.
Pinto, our two families cannot be in control of Freeport. And then the final headline today, I guess, is I told you so.
That's a big one.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Freeport needs some movement.
And shaking.
And correct. And someone has to say it.
As other people say, revitalization.
Right.
Or revitalization.
And if you have the source of the problem, then get rid of the source of the problem.
There you go. And here, I guess it's I told you so Wednesday today because this looks familiar too. Stopover visitors down 4%. Declining air arrivals trend continues. And like I said,
of course it is. Because the cruise
heads in
ships,
beds.
because the cruise ships
Swell
have
up our
taken-
head with numbers that are
they're
pie in the
taking
sky.
our customers, and what do we reward them with? Get another beach. Why not?
Yep.
Sure. Put your little playground here. Put it on Xanadu. Put it on East End. Put
With
it
no
on
mention
all
of
the
a hotel.
families.
No mention of
Get a
access to
key here.
Bahamians.
Get a key
Charles.
there. Why not? It's absolute lunacy. And no matter how they try to spin it, it's crazy that we've gotten to this point
All right.
with the cruise lines.
Texters, I see your text callers. I see your calls. We're going to take the first break. On the flip side of the break, we'll get into the buzz, all brought to you, of course, by John Shoes. As we get to the buzz,
And we have a special guest.
I get to that 1 second.
Yep.
Gas tracker, Rubis 555, Esso 543, Shell 546. So be sure you know
Yikes.
to pump it up. And of course, coming up on the flip side of the break, our special guest. Let them know, MJ.
Yes, of course, we have Senator Maxine Seymour. She's going to be joining us for a conversation, so we're looking forward to that right after the break. You're listening to Talking Heads with Naughty and MJ right here on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. You guys, we'll be right back.
Show me the thoughts and them hard for me. Me dip on my journey, them can't see me. Them a preface me can't write off for me. Be a shield for me, reveal to me. The bad guy, what them a deal and give me. You never hesitate for bust the seal for me. I let going out and when me forward in. Never leave I judge. Keep me far from vampires. And never going out and coming in. Keep me far from demons. Keep me far from Satan. More time I can't believe. Feel for grief.
Turn up the heat and the flavor with the new Jalapeno Fire from KFC. Crunch into the iconic taste of KFC's original recipe, extra large filet that's made with KFC's secret recipe of 11 herbs and spices cooked to perfection. Stacked high with spicy jalapeno peppers, pepper jack cheese, and our cool but kickin' jalapeno sauce, all wrapped up in a soft toasted brioche bun. Go bolder and crank up the heat with our spicy zinger filet. The new Jalapeno Fire is bringing the heat and it's finger licking good.
Been off the WSC grid for over a year? Now's the time to come back and save big. For a limited time only, the Water and Sewage Corporation is offering up to 50% off reconnection fees for customers disconnected for more than 1 year. Don't miss this chance to reconnect and enjoy reliable, quality water service at a discounted rate. Call 302-5599 to learn more. Water and Sewage Corporation, dedicated to dependable, affordable water solutions.
We're still here. Since 1941, the Armory Company has been your trusted partner and one-stop solution for all your business and technology needs. From printers to copy or leasing, point of sale to cloud video surveillance, and access control to ATMs, we've got it all. And we ship to all family islands. Call our dedicated customer service team now at 397-1600 or visit us behind Wendy's on Mackey Street and experience excellence that stands the test of time. The Armory Company. Your success is our business.
Want to give your support? Become a sponsor today. Call 302-2300 for our rates and packages. That's 302-2300. Become a sponsor on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
You're listening to Talking Heads with Naughty and Mary Jane. Only on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM.
It's time for the buzz. What are you buzzing on? Brought to you by John Shoes.
I care less what workers of iniquity. Rastafari, it's my security. Chimney. And I'm going out and coming in. Never leave by Jaja. Keep me far from vampires. And I'm going out and coming in. Keep me by far from Satan. I let her walk with me, talk to me, show me the thoughts and them heart for me. Me dip on my journey, them can't see me. Them a preface to me, can't write off for me. Be a shield to me, reveal to me the backyard where them a deal and give me. You never hesitate for bust the seal for me. I lay, and I'm a going out and when my forward in. Never leave, I Jaja. Keep me far from vampires. And I'm going out and coming in. Keep me far from demons. Keep me far from Satan. More time I can't believe. Feel for grief.
You've got it logged and loaded to the Wednesday, May 7th edition of Talking Heads. Naughty, along with Mary Jane and your company, right up until 6 p.m. And our special guest today, like I told you, no stranger. The old incarnation, I don't know the new incarnation. No, probably just here.
The new incarnation.
But I know it's not her first time on the show. Glad to have back F&M Senator Maxine Seymour. Good to see you. How are you? Welcome.
Doing good and glad to be here. Thank you.
There you go.
And glad to have you here.
All right, so let's get to the phone lines real quick. Let's get this call out of the way. Talking Heads. Talking Heads. All right, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
All right. Let's check the text lines real quick. Go ahead, MJ.
Go ahead, Naughty. Well, let me do this.
All
Let's
right.
talk a little bit about Energy, right? Because Energy has a great Mother's Day Saturday special happening down there at Old Fort Bay. We're talking about a delicious starter of conch chowder made with coconut milk. They've got the main course of jerk chickpea bowl, which sounds very interesting. I've never had that. With your choice of protein. And for dessert, they have a chocolate caramel banana bread. Now that sounds absolutely delicious. Plus, ladies, moms, a massage therapist will be on site from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. giving mothers a free 5-minute massage. I think I'm gonna
What's the dessert?
buy a smoothie, get my massage, go outside, drink my smoothie, come back in, buy a smoothie, get a massage.
That's fine. That's fine. What about
the
the
dessert?
dessert,
Is a
though?
chocolate caramel banana bread. That sounds so delicious. So you
be
guys,
sure right now, that sounds good.
be sure to check out Energy located at the Old Fort Bay. Not only is their food delicious and nutritious, it's really affordable. I love it out there at Energy. And shouts out to the crew down there at Energy, Dawn and everybody else that makes
And check out
those
the tuna
delicious
sandwiches off
smoothies
the chain.
and food. Good stuff there for sure at Energy.
All right, let's get a couple of quick texts and then we'll get to our guest. Naughty MJ, last year it was reported that trailers were being used for prostitution. And obviously they're referring to the trailers in Abaco.
Okay.
In today's story, a resident said the traffic at night is like living on a highway. The story also said the police aren't curious about what is generating highway-like traffic at 2 a.m., question mark, in the morning every night. Wow. That right there speaks volumes.
That's a lot.
On multiple levels. And I will definitely have to ask Roscoe about that.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That is a lot. And then what if an area known for those kind of heinous activities and sordid activities, what is a teenager doing out there?
No, let's not confuse the two stories. I don't know necessarily because in one instance they're alleging prostitution and now we're talking about an assault, which is totally
Correct.
different. So
but I'm saying
we'll have
that
to
kind
get,
of environment, what kind of environment is being, regardless, either way, those trailers
well,
should
it'll be
have been
good to know what's happening
deconstructed
out
a long
there
time ago.
at the trailers. I agree with that.
It needs to know what's going on down there. And I think, weren't they up for deconstruction at some point?
That's what was reported out, but as with many things in this new day, we don't get a follow-up, so I have no idea.
All right. Naughty, good afternoon. Naughty and MJ, could you tell Garth he was talking garbage? What did Garth do on Beyond the Headlines? He said the insurance company should put fire hydrants throughout the settlements the homeowners buy insurance from. Tell Garth.
Who's Garth?
I know he loved the PLP Piquetti stuff. I think they're referring to Garth Roseborough, who, a co-host with Howard from time to time. He's part of The Guardian. I mean,
right.
does his thing on the weekend.
Okay. I got you. Yeah,
All right,
no, I didn't hear that. So
but
I'm not
listen,
sure
why
what
don't
he
you
said,
call
but-
and quote my show and MJ's show? Because
that's
I
not,
really don't.
What was the gist of it that he was saying? What?
But
I don't know if he really said it, but
see, there you go.
They're saying that.
But I'm sure
someone said that he's saying put fire hydrants to the settlement I mean, you need fire hydrants.
You need fire hydrants, but I'm thinking
something
that's
that
infrastructure that the administration of the day should put in.
Responsible for in terms of infrastructure.
Yeah, some street lights, some street signs,
even if you're
drains,
private
sidewalks with gutters and ramps for
communities, there should be like a requisite for you to have X, Y, Z amount. So
correct.
At the end of the day, I don't think it's something directed towards the homeowners, but more specifically our Ministry of National Security.
Correct. I think that's where we need to address that. Naughty, what's the word on the fire engines? All right, we're going to get to this. And listen, it's not a good situation on the fire engines, okay? I have gotten from reliable sources 3 operational. That's what I'm hearing.
3?
3. And we go down the fire stations. Yesterday, Mr. Producer, you did a great job saying we should have 7 out of 8 police stations have a fire branch attached to it. Well, I found out today it's only 5, and out of those 5, only 2 have engines.
2?
Correct.
For the entire
South Beach, South Beach, the airport, and Paradise Island have confirmed they have engines.
Okay.
Carmichael, Elizabeth Estates, and I don't care what you tell me about Cable Beach. I ain't seen no fire engine there in the last 72 hours, and I've been scoping.
For years now. I mean, I've seen some in the past, but not for the last couple of years.
If that's 6 stations, however they put it, because I don't know what the situation is at the airport. If that's for the airport outside of the ones that are out there on the runway, if that's backup,
I would think it's for the airport itself.
Correct. So it's not looking good. We need more engines here in New Providence and throughout the Family Islands. And don't give me, we have to have them special. Listen, I pulled up the website in Florida. They're already outfitted. They can add or subtract what you want from your order. Now, if you say you need 20 of them and they tell you give me 6 or 8 weeks, that's fine. They're not going to just build them from scratch. They already have frames. They already have fitted and everything. They just need to put on the fittings and send them.
The thing more disturbing was
and you don't have to wait for the whole order to come. You can start getting them as you need them. If you got 2 or 3 ready now, get them over, get them in operation.
I think more disturbing is the stance that the Minister of National Security is taking on this whole issue, which is reports that XYZ is not available, which just boggles the mind because for the last few months, we've been watching fires in Abaco, fires in Grand Bahama. I think we had a fire in Eleuthera as well. And since then, if you were on top of your game, if you were doing what the voters expect you to do, you would have. And
recent photos from Andrews now surfaced of fire damage as well.
You would have commissioned a report, like get it on my desk ASAP. What is the stance? Where are we at? Not waiting for someone to say, well, boss, we ain't got enough fire engines,
They all broke down.
Crazy stuff, and that's not what the Bahamian people expect. So
no, not in this day and
time. As far as
that
concerned, as that is concerned, I'm not surprised that we're short on fire engines because we're short on a lot of things in this country.
We are
nobody
lacking.
Seems to be like moving with the speed that we need
hate
them
to use that word, but we're lacking.
Yeah, we're lacking.
Like the young people say.
Anyway, we have
Senator,
a very
how
special
are you?
guest with us. Senator, how are you?
I am doing well.
Sorry we had to wait through such, turbulence to get on, but I mean, obviously there's a lot to talk about, in the headlines today and in society in general.
Right.
I'm glad to have you here to get your take on a lot of things and obviously talk about some things that are important to you, and we have some questions for you as well. But it's good to see you. Let us know how you've been. I haven't seen you for a minute, but how are you? How's the family? How's everybody?
It's good to be here, and I'm doing well. I hope you're likewise doing good. My family is good as well, and so I'm grateful for that. And listening to you talk as Bahamian citizens, I feel as if these basic requirements, basic infrastructure, good roads to drive on, fire engines that function, a healthcare system that works, these are all basic things that we're asking for. Nothing special, nothing, grand, like he says. Go on a website exactly and order it. And so each government has a budget to manage, and this administration has one too. And so it's not about the lack of resource. The PLP administration is not the people, at least not the people of the Bahamas, I should say.
Actually, I apologize. Let me interject. There are actually, I miscounted 2. There are actually 2 at headquarters as well, so it's 5.
Okay.
All right. Sorry for that. All right. Now.
Right.
But
I mean, listen, 5, 3, there should be more. And the reality is that we're an archipelago. And so we have to be concerned about other islands as well, because other islands are susceptible to fire, to illness. And so we have to strengthen the infrastructure all around. And not just by secretly trying to award a $183 million road contract here and there, but I'm talking about transparent, open, accountable, equal procurement opportunities, just to help advance our country in terms of whatever it is citizens require. That's why we elect governments.
You're absolutely true. And speaking of, because you touched on something there about the procurement process, I know that the last Free National Movement administration sought to make changes to make it a more open process. This administration came in and said, oh, we don't like certain provisions in this, so we're going to make amendments. What do you think of their adherence to the spirit of the law so far in terms of the Procurement Act?
It blows my mind that this administration disregards the law the way they do consistently. So if there was one example, you could say, oh, that's just a one-off.
Right.
But they consistently do it, whether it's the Procurement Act, whether it's the central bank drawdown, whatever it is, whether it's...
Freedom of Information Act.
Listen, the list goes on and on and on. They
Fiscal
do not regard
responsibility.
the law. And literally, I've seen it, like you say, they figure, oh,
Road traffic
it's a
in some
problem.
cases.
Oh, we'll just change it. We'll amend it.
Right.
This is how ruthless they are. I'm trying to find a word that's parliamentary to describe them because
Right.
some words come to mind.
Right,
What's going on?
Right. I mean, has it surprised you? I know that, being in the Senate, you get to see these bills after they pass the House and they come to you. And I'm sure that there are times that you feel a particular way about it, but you're in opposition right now. There's not much you can do. You can talk about it, but you can't make a bit of a difference. Has there been something in particular that stood out to you that you said, you know what, we really shouldn't be doing this, but you have no choice in the matter?
There are so many things. For example, we passed the Protection Against Violence bill.
Right.
After decades across administrations, multiple persons worked on a Domestic Violence Act, and they still decided that they would pass the bill they wanted to pass because there was an upcoming international conference that they needed to go to, and they needed to report that they had done this, and so they checked the box. Things like that bother me. I'll tell you what else bothers me is that when we go to Senate and we're passing bills either for whether it's and we need to comply, of course, when it comes to anti-money laundering and all these other stuff, because our jurisdiction when it comes to banking and, finance, we're second in tourism. Okay,
it's
so it's
important to us.
necessary.
It's necessary.
But I would like to go to Senate to pass bills that actually make a difference in the lives of everyday Bahamian people. That things that matter to us, and not just because we need to do this, we need to do that, or this international agency put pressure on us for this particular thing, and so we pass these particular bills or we make these amendments. What about people's everyday needs? What about
that is important to you besides social services, which you're the shadow person for, is healthcare in the country? And I mean, we've been through a lot. COVID saw us pull back the veil and reveal some really shocking things about our system, about the things we were prepared to handle, things we aren't prepared to handle, the fact that we have a lot of Bahamians that have non-communicable diseases, but that, it's problematic and expensive for a lot of Bahamian families. What in the healthcare realm has kind of gotten your attention and you think Bahamians should focus more on?
So there are so many things. For example, you referenced the headline earlier today. We cannot afford the PLP to have a second term in office because more of us will be sicker. And this is fact. This is data based on what the WHO has issued, and this is us looking at it long term and making projections. They're not good for our health, literally, mentally, physically, and otherwise.
What are they doing wrong?
They're just not focused on healthcare. There are situations where you have up to 60 persons in accident emergency waiting for beds. Not all of the theaters are currently being utilized because of a lack of resources, staff. Medical Association has come out. The Nurses Association has come out. EMT persons have come out. And so this isn't even us saying this. The professionals are literally calling on the government to make healthcare a priority. And not just that. I mean, let's just face it. We're not exactly mostly size 2 in our country, right?
Right.
And so why do you bring in ambulances that literally my 8-year-old can't even fit in if I have to call an ambulance?
Think about that.
Let's just look at fact. And so they've literally said publicly that there have been situations could not go in the ambulance either because it didn't have the proper equipment needed to use on that particular patient or because it couldn't fit. So now they had to wait for another ambulance to come to get the patient. Guess what the challenge with that is? In healthcare, and in a medical crisis, every single second counts. Not even minute, every single second counts. And so this government needs to make, this administration needs to make people a priority, okay? I mean, why not do what the Free National Movement government is intending to do when we get elected, and that's to improve the Princess Margaret Hospital on its current campus. Instead, you're going to build another hospital that won't be able to attend to accident emergency cases and all the other critical care that we need.
Right.
So our plan is to take VAT off of medicine and take VAT off of medical treatment to make it more accessible so that some people who may be able to scrap enough to go to a private doctor don't have to worry about paying VAT for health care. Everyone cannot just fly away when, something's wrong. Oh, I sneezed today. Book me a flight. Make it private. That's not how the ordinary citizen operates in our country, regrettably.
Let me ask you a quick question, Senator. And I know healthcare is important to you. And here's something that's important to me. And you've probably seen my fights against folks who abuse handicap parking.
Oh,
okay? Even MPs. We got to deal with them. I don't care. I can bring you up. I can deal with you. But it was very important to my late Aunt Kay, and it's always carried over me. She was a double amputee. And now there are a lot of young people, especially young men, lose legs on motorbikes in accidents. Some young women are affected, and you don't know, but you see them as amputees. And actually, the prosthetics are not that cheap. And we got a lot of people that try to do pro bono work and charities and organizations. Right. But what can we do? Or what can the FNM, if they become the next administration of the day, what kind of relief could they provide to folks, especially from the inner city, who don't have the means to afford a thousands of dollar prosthetic? And in some cases, that's still the lowest, cheapest one. But they're still into the, that in addition to handicap parking, there's ramps on the sidewalk, there's that, but there's also the issue of prosthetics, and folks that actually, not only from accidents, but actually lose it from diabetes and ailments and so on and so forth. Can some sort of relief be provided for them as well?
Of course. This is where we have to strengthen our social services system, because access to certain health needs is a part of social services currently. So, like, for example, if somebody needs bed pads or diapers, they're supposed to be able to go to social services and apply for them. But the challenge is that the stock isn't necessarily there, because, again, the priority isn't on these basic things. Now, to prosthetics.
Now, is it because, just for a second, so for clarity, is it because there's such a demand because we have that many people affected, or is it mismanagement?
So it's not a demand because, for example, I spoke to a mom recently who has a daughter who's disabled, who should monthly or regularly get certain stuff for her, and who, when she shows up, they don't have it in, they don't have any comeback, etc. And so we're to prosthetics, but even adult diapers are expensive. Bed pads are expensive. Yes. There's an expense. And the reality is that everyone cannot afford it. Okay? And so back to prosthetics, there needs to be more done to assist with these cases. And all of this is really predicated on good healthcare system.
Right.
Because whatever it is we need to do, we have to get it done to make people able and so that they could actually function, because just because you're an amputee does not mean that you have to lose your normal functionality, because technology has advanced so much. Like he said, their prosthetics, they are so advanced in terms of like Bluetooth connectivity, being able to take voice commands. I've seen, listen to me, I've seen prosthetics up they're able to do, but obviously somebody who isn't socioeconomically fortunate is not able to afford them, but they should still be able to access them. And so this is the kind of thing that we're focused on as the next administration, and that is making the Bahamas a more equitable and equal place and creating a Bahamas for all Bahamians, because no one should have be excluded out of an opportunity, out of a benefit, out of access to quality health care, whatever it is, because of their situation or condition, whether it's where they live, depending on which island it is, whether or not they're abled or differently abled, whether or not it's by gender. So we need to fix the law so that there isn't discrimination for women versus men when it comes to passing on our citizenship. And the list goes on. We have to be able to create a Bahamas where all Bahamians have equal access, equal opportunities, and they can benefit equally.
I know you mentioned the hospital and healthcare. We're going to get callers who are going to get you in 1 second. I just have a quick question. Is that hospital happening? Because, I mean, I saw a little sign put up, but I have a little bed running like, that ain't happening. And more importantly, from your perspective, because, you're actually a part of the government, should that hospital happen, or should it be, as you have suggested, that you focus on
You
the
have to
Princess
focus on what we
Margaret
have.
and make it what it's supposed to be.
Correct. Because the Princess Margaret Hospital is there. It needs to get fixed. And so now you're going to say, oh, just leave it alone. Let's do something else. You know, I'll tell you one thing. It's very rare for me to admit this, but the PLP functions in this way. If it comes to putting up signs, breaking ground, having press conferences, sending out press releases, and doing photo ops, they excel in that area. But when it comes to making real, tangible change in the lives of ordinary Bahamians, F grade every day.
Okay, listen, I get to your callers right now. Just piggybacking off of MJ's question. You know, I called the Minister of Health shaky because obviously he was shaky as Minister of Grand Bahama. I was scared for my life when this is how I feel. I'm seeing, and I've witnessed some tragedies, and MJ and I have lost some friends because of
Marvel sees you again. Okay, go ahead.
I call him shaky, you understand?
I know you do. Okay, go ahead.
Here's the deal. My question is, in addition to that, we've heard the stories of the new hospital, but we've also heard several issues, and daily I have folks from the kidney, from dialysis call me, from the ward, from Mayo Surgical, and text me, and there are inefficiencies, I'll say. I don't want to go hard on the staff because I know they work under duress conditions, but obviously somebody has got to be in charge of that and make it more accessible and more beneficial for Bahamians. You can't have Bahamians call and say, I went here and I got sick. I went here and it was a plumbing issue. I went here, you can't get this. They don't have a kitchen. They don't have that. And what can we do?
The challenge is that our current leaders, in terms of this administration, they're simply disconnected. Like, they just can't relate to what people face. They apparently don't access services at Princess Margaret Hospital, so they don't know what's going on. Perhaps they don't drive the roads I drive, and so they don't feel the potholes when they drop in them. And this is the challenge. So we need leaders who can relate, who care, and who prioritize the people. And that's what this F&M party is all about. In fact, our current leader, he isn't necessarily from the traditional groupings that leaders come from. He knows what it is to struggle. He knows what it is to have a rough time. He grew up, and some of these people who are waiting on service in A&E, they're his neighbors and friends. And so we understand as a caucus, we understand as a party what ordinary people go through. This particular administration, if they'd spend more time in country, perhaps they'd see a little bit of what's going on, but clearly they're just
some
out
of
of
that
touch.
travel budget to ambulances that are on stick shift.
How basic is that? And that could fit our people.
Let's get to the phone lines. You see how small they are too, right? Okay, let's go to the phone lines.
I just noticed that since you pointed out. I did see a small one, and it didn't click, but you made a great point.
Talking heads. Let's get to the next one. Talking heads.
Golly, there is Aki and Voice along with you. Panel Naughty.
How are you, Bremen?
I'm holding thank God. The lady spoke of. By the way, who's the lady you have on?
We have Senator Maxine Seymour here with us.
Again?
Senator Maxine Seymour.
Senator Maxine Seymour.
Yes.
Of the
Ms.
FNL.
Seymour, how are you?
Free National
I'm
Movement.
doing fine, sir. And how are you
got
today?
Raymond Darling Ferguson here.
Mr. Darling Ferguson.
That's a nice name, Seymour. I grew up with some Seymour's Freemasons edition. But what I want to say, right? Something needs to be done immediately with social service on Wolf Road. Okay? They carry on. They just carry on as if as though that's their bedroom, And certain handicapped people or disabled people not supposed to get anything from them, okay? And let me show you something. They need to move out of there immediately because I am a handicapped person, and if I go there for help, I supposed to get help. Don't talk foolishness in my head and jam on $50 slip in my hand. I would have told her she needs to know. Take that and stick it.
Anyway, Bremen, calm down.
Thank you so much.
Boy, I love you, but now you're trying to bust
That
on.
sounded like that was going somewhere. We don't need to go on a Wednesday, but
I'll tell you, further to his point, I just spoke to a gentleman just yesterday, and I want to recall the story without coming to tears myself. As a man, his wife ended up in a situation where she had a stroke, and so she is disabled right now. She needs support from social services, and he told services at the same location that Bremen just referenced. And he said when he pulled up in the truck, because his wife, one side of her is paralyzed and she can't even move, he went and he spoke to the lady and he said, his wife is in the vehicle. Could she come out and see her? The woman say, according to him, she ain't going nowhere to see nobody. She got to come inside or whatever. He said he had to get the security to get the wheelchair to lift his wife and try to struggle to bring her inside. And he said the way the lady spoke to him and the way she treated him, and I asked him, I said, I need your name because I'll personally write and bring it to the attention of the permanent secretary and the minister. Said he felt less than a man because he says he's doing all he can to care for his family. His wife is out of work because of her current condition. And I'll say this much. We need to reassess the support we give to persons because, like he said, $50 in this current inflationary period may not be sufficient. It's not sufficient. Right. But beyond that, human dignity is a basic requirement when you interact with government services because, like he said, it's not your bedroom. It's not your place. You're not doing us a favor. You work for us. It's our money from the treasury that is being spent. So the least that you can do is provide dignified service. And I am not suggesting that everyone in social services on any level is like that. No. But I am saying that the examples of people who do not know how to treat the public are too many.
Do you think this is something that with the right leadership, because you're mentioning one particular story, but it's not the first.
It's not the only.
We've heard of other issues where people feel less than dignified, to borrow your word, interacting with services that the Bahamian taxpayer, pays for, that we expect a certain level of service, but we don't necessarily get that. Is this a case where if we had leadership more focused on Bahamians and, like you said, the things that they go through and kind of from the top down showing that, listen, this is the way to handle these situations. We need to be more empathetic, particularly in a ministry. That is one of the main ministries, as well as health, where you do have to have a level of empathy for the public. Do you think it's something that
everything
from the top
rises
down
and falls with leadership?
Okay, this is definitely a hot topic. Obviously, Senator, we need you to go over. Thanks in advance. Appreciate it. I know you'd say yes. I'm psychic. You all done my psychic powers?
Listen,
watch this.
Okay, Mr. Cleo.
Watch this. I'll prove to the nation my psychic powers.
Really?
Mr. Producer, and say it loud. What is your middle name? Jason. That is correct.
I didn't know you were psychic.
I got it going on. It ain't just football thing. All right. So here's the question. Let's get to the phone lines. We'll take this call. Then we'll get to Cuban Willie's numerology report brought to you by the Island Game. We'll get to the news. Out of the news, we have a ton of questions for you. A lot of healthcare related questions.
Tax lines are blowing
and social
up.
services. We got a ton of calls. I'll take you because you've been holding, and the other callers who just chimed in, we'll get to you right after the news. Talking Heads. Talking Heads. All right, we'll get to the next one. Talking Heads.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, good afternoon, caller.
Good evening.
How are you?
I am fine. How are you?
Well, we're good.
Thank you.
What you got for us?
I would like to ask the senator a question, please.
Go right ahead.
And that is, for 50 years, you've been hearing the same yay. What is going to change to assist the disabled, particularly the handicapped, especially the ones who cannot fend for themselves, and there is no assistance? Do we all just pile them up like for the ex-commissioner of police and leave them in a pile and forget about them? No. No matter how you look at it, these people have made a contribution for the existence of this country, so that our grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and others will have a better way of life. We need to take charge.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, caller. Let's let the senator answer.
Good stuff, caller. We got to get to the
caller.
break, and we want the senator to answer, but great call and good points.
Yes, and we are focused, okay? And there could have been more done for the disabled over time, but the reality is that right now we are focused on empowering persons with varying abilities, and that is because many of us in the Free National Movement, our track record with the disabled isn't just start in politics. I know for me personally, I've been serving with communities who are disabled for years and years and years, even before entering politics. I take this serious. This means a lot to me. And so I am also pushing my party who it's not hard to get their buy-in because they're equally minded when it comes to persons with disabilities. Because I'll just say this before you go to the news, and I want everyone to hear it. People see disabled persons as them and us. But in any moment, and listen to me, I don't understand why people don't get this. In any moment, anything can happen for you to become a person with disability as well. You could step on a rusty nail. The list goes on, car accident, stroke, the list goes on, and you find yourself in the same position where there's no elevator to get into the building, no ramp. Somebody took your parking space, and so now you can't walk from wherever to wherever on your cane, and the list goes on.
That's one of the biggest things. My late mother used to say, Lord bless the dead there, but for the grace of God, go you or I.
Correct.
And number two, knowing full well with my late Aunt Kate, handicapped persons like and disabled persons like my parking spot. If I got to have a wheelchair, I can wheel in, I can shop, I can do my thing, leave me, let me be on my own run. And I am all for that, but you cannot deny them the basic rights and privileges and then expect them to function properly and be in a good demeanor.
They don't want to hang out. They just want an opportunity to function, like you say, normally.
Correct.
Absolutely. You're listening to Talking Heads on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM with Naughty and yours truly, Mary Jane. We have a very special guest in studio with us, Senator Maxine Seymour. We're going to take a break right here. You have Cuban Willie's numerology report coming up. The news is coming up, and then on the other side, we'll continue our conversation with the senator, and we'll have Pearlie joining us. You guys keep it locked in. Like I said, you're listening to Talking Heads on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM.
Never leave Jaja. Keep us far from vampires. And never going out and coming in. Keep me far from demons. Keep me far from Satan. More time I can't believe. All I do is win, no matter what.
Feeling lucky? Here's Cuban Willie's numerology report. Brought to you by the Island Game.
Wepa, soy yo, Cuban Willie. Buenos días. It's Wednesday and it's time for your 3-ball, the lucky tres pelotas. The numerology report brought to you, of course, by the Island Game.
Your 3-ball for today, the 173. 173.
Play them and win with the Island Game. Stay winning, my friend.
You're a builder. You want to give your client the best material at the best prices, and you need to put food on the table. Well, check out these prices at Pinder Enterprises. 5/8 pressure-treated roofing ply starting at $36.68, includes VAT. By the way, all these prices include VAT. Gray Select Water Shield, $134.20 a roll. Felt, 15 pounds, $16.50, 30 pounds, $19.80. Owens Corning Duration Shingles and Certainty Landmark Shingles, $56.56 a bundle. Gallon Roof Cement, $33.47. When it comes to screwing and nailing, Pinder got you covered. He got every nail and screw you could possibly need.
Turn up the heat and the flavor with the new Jalapeno Fire from KFC. Crunch into the iconic taste of KFC's original recipe, extra large filet that's made with KFC's secret recipe of 11 herbs and spices cooked to perfection. Stacked high with spicy jalapeno peppers, pepper jack cheese, and our cool but kickin' jalapeno sauce, all wrapped up in a soft toasted brioche bun. Go bolder and crank up the heat with our spicy zinger filet. The new Jalapeno Fire is bringing the heat, and it's finger-licking good.
Cancer Treatment Centers of America is now City of Hope, creating one of the leading cancer care and research networks for what you need. More locations means more care closer to home. More specialists means more expertise. More research means more breakthroughs. More advancements means more treatment options. And more options means more hope. Learn more at cancercenter.com.
John Shoes and Accessories is your one-stop shop for all your footwear needs. You will find what you're looking for among the growing collection of classic and trendy styles with new arrivals every week. John's covers the whole family and has great prices, helpful and friendly customer service. Your experience shopping with us will be time well spent. Shop with us online at www.johnshoes.com. John's also now carries small home appliances. So come on into John's, located on Rosetta Street in Palmdale and Carmichael Road West. John's, we put fashion at your feet.
You're listening to Talking Heads with Naughty and Mary Jane. Only on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM.
I care less what workers of iniquity. Rastafari, it's my security. Chilling.
Talking Heads with Naughty is brought to you by Burger King, City of Hope, Fine Threads, John's Department Store, Joker's Wild, Kelly's Home Center, KFC, Naughty Johnny's, NRG Nutrition, Percy's Island Games, Pinder Towel, Prince Masters, Sandcastle Bahamas, Tropical Gyros, and the Water and Sewage Corporation.
Walk with me, talk to me, show me the thoughts and them hard for me. Me dip on my journey, them can't see me. Them a preface me, can't write a shield to me, reveal to me the bad card where them a deal and give me. You never hesitate for bust the seal for me.
Well, we're back at you on the Wednesday, May 7th edition of Talking Heads. Your boy Naughty Along with Mary Jane in your company right up until 6 p.m. Going over into the 5 o'clock a little bit with our special guest today, F&M Senator Maxine Seymour. Glad to have her here again in studio. And Pearlie should be joining us in short order. Let us know when Pearlie chimes in, all right, Mr. Producer, because you know how Pearlie go. He'll just sneak in and just sneak up on you and scare you, pop your eardrum.
Not scare you.
All right, so a couple of things. We're going to pick up our conversation that we had prior to the break. Obviously, healthcare, social services are very important to Bahamians. All right, and a lot of text too. So let's jump on in. And here's a text from one of our favorite texters. Naughty asked Senator Seymour if she would be advocating for more women to be firefighters since we need more women on the front lines.
Absolutely. Whoever the best citizens are to fight fires should be enlisted in the fire department that we're going to establish, independent of the current police arrangement.
Naughty MJ, with all due respect to Senator Seymour, as a swing voter, tell her please don't come with the sad story because her administration had more than enough time to employ all that she's speaking of, but did nothing. Everything is always so easy until they sit in this office.
What do you say to voters who do mention that the Free National Movement had an opportunity to make some of these systemic changes in the past, failed to do so, are loud now in opposition, but didn't get the job done when it was their chance and when they had the power to do it? What do you say to those voters who are a bit wary of the ideas that you may put forth now, saying, you had a chance to do it, why didn't you do it?
We work for the people. And they have genuine concerns about performance, and they're right to do that. But what it is that there were steps taken, and unlike any administration we've seen in our generation, there were certain situations that were outside of the last administration's control that prohibited us from making certain advances. Of course, the administration before that made, even last administration, there was still major strides made when it came to Princess Margaret Hospital and to other areas within our society. But our focus then was more on keeping people alive, keeping people employed, keeping people
the pandemic.
fed, correct. Okay. And so we are here again, and we are pledging to do better. I know one thing. You will know how your money is being spent. You won't have to worry about us focusing on simply making a certain amount of families richer, because that's what's going on now. You won't have to worry about us being transparent or accountable, because right now we have people hired to do a job. They work for us, but they refuse to report us. They refuse to update us. They refuse to answer to us. They refuse to follow the laws that they've made as legislators. And that's concerning.
I know that you're under new leadership now. I think the party has spoken clearly and succinctly and loudly a couple of times, and you have a new leader now. What do you say to persons that do ask those questions about past performance, to do question past performance, and you're now presenting a situation where you say, things are going to be different. We're moving in a different direction. We have a new leader. How transformative do you think Mr. Pintard has been to the party? And do you have that faith that, yes, the next administration, F&M administration, if they're so elected, will be very different from past administrations in general?
We're still the same party, so let's start off with that. The F&M is the party that is transparent, accountable, and we are about the Bahamian people. And no matter what, the things that the current administration, that their persons are getting away with, never under any F&M government, because literally we are over accountable. So you do minor things like you have the decaf coffee instead of the caffeinated coffee, and you're out of the cabinet. That's the kind of government we run when we're in certain tenants and certain correct. So certain attributes that are Free National Movement related, you can depend on them no matter which Free National Movement administration is in power. So that's the first thing. But yes, our current leader is transformative on so many levels, and that goes back to his youth. He is not one who just, swims. He always swims upstream. If something isn't making sense, if something doesn't work, if something needs to be changed or fixed, the first person there protesting or making a change or turning the world upside down, even when he was younger, it was Honorable Michael C. Pintard. And so he's not somebody who's going to come in and just allow things to be as they were, to just go with the status quo. His vision and our vision for the Bahamas is a whole new and different vision. And we care about ordinary Bahamians. We care about all Bahamians and not just a select few. And so that's what persons can look forward to, a more inclusive Bahamas, a Bahamas that cares about the nurses. We don't want to lose our nurses. We want to make sure that we improve their compensation package so that they can stay here, because this is where their families are. This is where their heart is. This is where their culture is. But they're leaving for better benefits, and you can't fault them for that. We want to develop the Princess Margaret Hospital on its current campus. We want to make sure that there's VAT on medication, on medical services, on breadbasket items. These are basic things that when we take office will be a priority for us, because we're not out of touch. We know what matters to ordinary people. We know that the public transportation system, safety for our women and girls matters. We know that persons with disabilities are equally Bahamian to everyone else who is fully able. And so why is it that they should be shortchanged on any level? This is the F&M that always existed, and this is the F&M that people can look forward to when we take office. And we won't be making the public purse our personal, petty cash, because that's not why we're elected. We're elected to make sure that the priorities of the people sit high in terms of our agenda when it comes to budgeting. And so that's part of what you can look forward to.
One of the major criticisms of the current administration is the lack of transparency on a lot of things. We have the BPL deal that we still don't know what's happening there. We have so many other things, questions that just kind of hang in the air. You don't get follow-up answers to these questions. What do you think the people can do in this particular situation? We have an election on the horizon, but we're still a ways off, and we do need answers to some of these questions. And how would a Free National Movement administration do things differently? Because in the last couple of years, transparency has become very, very important to Bahamians. What policies do you have in place to see that things are done differently in the future than they're being executed today?
We're going to start by following the law. When it comes to the Procurement Act and all the other laws that are in place, this is not about our cronies getting, fixed up. This is not about people getting contracts so that they could, tuck some aside for our election campaign. We're not the PLP, we're the F&M. And so people don't have to worry about how their money is spent. In fact, traditionally, whenever the PLP goes in and they break the treasury and they, make a mess of everything, is when we're elected to fix things. And that is what we do. People know that they could depend on the F&M administration when we're in power to be proper when it comes to the Bahamas, because we care about the Bahamas. We're Bahamians first. We're not traveling the world to figure out where we could retire. That's not what we're about.
All right, let's get to the phone lines real quick. Appreciate your patience, caller. Talking Heads.
Yes. Good afternoon to the panel. How everyone doing?
How are you?
I am driving home here. I am doing Graham Cullen for Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Philly in the house. How are you?
I'm driving home. I'm good. I'm driving home on 95, enjoying this conversation. Ma'am, I am just as passionate as you are about the F&M, because I feel the same way about our current president. But please, let not your heart be troubled. Brave Davis is going to win this election again. Brave Davis care about the Bahamian people just like how Trump care about the American people. I see your passion, and I tell you this, Brave Davis is going to be the Prime Minister again for the next 10 years. I come home every year to vote, and I can't wait for the election comes to come back to the Bahamas to cast my vote for the Honorable Brave Davis. Thanks for listening.
Thank
Boy,
you,
I
Philly.
tell you, I know the war room listening now, because if they got one of their cronies calling all the way from Philadelphia, I tell you.
I was going to add, this is the paid political advertisement.
Yeah, but I just want to let Philly know.
Well, thank you for calling, Philly.
The other times that you spend in Philadelphia, do some cruddiest, dirtiest, disgusting airport in the world. I had the unfortunate piece of humanity to be stuck in there to torture for 8.5 hours, and let me tell you, your airport sucks. I just want to get that out. It sucks worse than your Eagles. It sucks worse than your Phillies. It sucks worse than your Flyers, and it sucks worse than your your Geno's cheesesteak.
It's interesting too, though, when you hear persons talk about the current U.S. Administration, President Trump, and then, because our prime minister focused a lot of his energies on climate change. He spent a lot of political capital on climate change. You have an administration that comes in and basically in the U.S. that basically calls climate change a hoax. So to be on the page of the two is kind of a bit of cognitive dissonance. Sorry, Philly, but it kind of feels a little weird going there. But let's focus on what our prime minister has done. He has focused a lot on climate change, but I'm not sure that we're necessarily doing what needs to be done.
Right.
What's your thoughts on that,
So,
Senator?
My concern is that I've never seen such blatant duplicity. I mean, literally. Like you said, here's a prime minister who focuses on climate change as his main platform, okay? Travels the world promoting it. But he yet says, the environment matters to us, climate change matters to us, but why don't you come and land your rockets here? And you know what? Go ahead and get some moorings done around the Exumas, debatably the most beautiful island chain in our archipelago, right?
From space,
And so it's like, where are you? Where do you really stand? Because you can't say out of one mouth climate change matters and then out of the other put our environment at risk.
Yeah.
Furthermore, there are things that we could do at home to improve our situation when it comes to the environment.
Right.
And so make it make sense. It's so conflicting.
I don't mean to laugh. Lord knows I don't mean to laugh. Texas sometimes you'll get me and don't be funnier than me. Naughty, please answer me this. Make this Mr. Philly, but only comes home to vote. Make it
I
make
wondered
sense.
about that. But
which constituency? What constituency you voting in? Anyway, we could deal with that. Because where you been? You got to be there 3 months before. Anyway, okay, all right. You have callers.
Let's go
on
back
the
to the
line.
other course. Talking heads. I mean to laugh. Talking heads.
Yes, good afternoon to all of you.
Good afternoon, caller.
My good senator, welcome.
Thank you.
Here's the way I see it, okay? People can go on and say, well, you didn't do this then. And we all know the F&M had a lot of challenges the last time. And this is not to say that perhaps more could not have been done. We're not perfect. You made mistakes. You own the mistakes, but the thing about it is there is new leadership. I heard him no less than this week on another show, and he was quite forward-thinking, laid out plans, has vision, and so I'm going to trust him. But you know what what amazes me? When I hear other persons who are trying to get there, would say, you've tried these two, you've tried this one, now try us. Well, as a voter, I would like to say this. There's nothing that gives me any more confidence in trying someone new than from trying the old. Because there's no guarantee, unless you have flown in from heaven and showed me that you've been bought by the blood of Jesus, there's nothing to say that you would come here. You will tell me anything because you're campaigning. So I would take my chance on what I know, what I have known before, made mistakes, but let's buckle up and let's vote F&M. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All
Thank
right.
you, caller.
We got Pearlie and Pearlie's now zoomed in. Welcome, Pearlie. How are you?
Pearlissimo.
I am most wonderful. I'm trying to figure out how this fella can live in Philly and vote in the Bahamas.
Well, child, we can find out which constituency. Yeah, I want to know what constituency.
I want
Yeah.
to get in flag.
Yeah, we got to flag that. We ain't call it back no more.
He happy with, and then the thing is, he talks so long, he think Trump doing a great job.
Yeah, it's a bit of, it's weird. Things getting a little sticky
I
and
have
weird.
to agree with the way Naughty described it. Other than the Eagles, I had to agree with everything Naughty said.
And I only know why you're saying the Eagles, but guess what? I got 2 words for you, buddy. George Pickens. Shut up. Naughty.
Listen, one man's garbage is another one's
treasure.
What do you call it?
Yeah, I would take.
Listen, it must be a reason why Pittsburgh was so fast to get him out there. Y'all can see why he left Pittsburgh.
As I just make a quick cameo into sports, look, they couldn't pay Metcalf and him buku bucks. Somebody had to go. He got jettisoned. We gave up a 3rd and a 5th. He's going to get re-signed to an extension by the Cowboys. I will take a number 2 receiver that averages 56 catches, 900 yards, and 2 touchdowns a year to run alongside CeeDee Lamb. Bet it very much, and that's what separates Jerry Jones. Because guess what? He shut up this offseason.
Save this piece for me, please. I want you to save this piece for me, please.
For all the bashing I've been doing to Jerry.
Pickens take that helmet and bash into the ground and disrupt that locker. I don't want to hear Naughty mouth. Hey, this the producer. WhatsApp that to me, please.
Tyreek Hill pay his 13 kids yet?
The quicker he go, the better right now. Because I tell you,
But I tell you, did he pay them kids?
Anyway.
But we'll talk about that. Curly, we'll talk about that on another day.
You will not.
Because we got a great convo going on right now, but we got to talk about that tomorrow for sure. But back to the text. So jump in on this one, Pearly. Senator, good afternoon, Naughty MJ, Senator, and your guest. The Department of Social Services needs an overhaul from the top to the bottom. There are systemic issues that exist within that organization that lend to the mistreatment of citizens. Everything rises and falls with leadership. That ministry needs a shift of mindset and internal processes. Wow.
I've heard
Obviously-
many complaints about that department.
That's just like a big wow to me that obviously somebody or persons have been affected that much by Department of Social Services that they could go in depth
So
to
sad.
send a text like that. So obviously there's been some disenfranchisement with that department.
It's so sad. These are Bahamians. These are people's parents, people's grandparents, people's sisters and brothers. They're humans. And just because you fall on hard times does not mean that you should be talked to anyway. Treated should handle you or mishandle you in the way that I hear many people get mishandled. Because guess what? The pandemic put a lot of us on the line that we could never imagine would have been on the line. And so in any moment, your circumstance can change. So always do unto others as you want others to do unto you. And I do agree that whatever is tolerated will continue. And so there has to be some radical changes there and leadership that says this is absolutely not acceptable. And in fact, let me know your experience. Fill this out. Give me your feedback. I mean, there literally needs to be, I need to know, did you have a good experience today? Happy face, sad face when you're leaving? We have to assess ourselves and we have to address whatever the delinquencies are. And we have to address them immediately with priority. Because I am so appalled at what I hear coming out of social services at times. There are good things that those persons who are employed there do, but there are some bad apples who just don't seem to care about human beings.
And I think
I know there are a few good folks in social services.
Yeah. Of course
but
there
outside
are.
of that, I've heard some atrocities myself. Let me get to these other texts real quick. MJ, you got a point to
No,
make?
I
or
was just going to ask the senator because I know that she does shadow social services, and I know that things have gotten progressively worse since the cost of living crisis that has not been addressed in this country. Just how bad is it with social services and with persons needing assistance? Because I think we kind of have an idea, but maybe we don't really understand what predicaments our brothers and sisters are in right now.
It's really bad. And the thing about it is the social services budget got cut and, the Prime Minister bragged that there are less people showing up for aid. But the reality is that that is not the case. There are less people getting aid because they just... What you have to go through to get $50.
Right.
Now, let's keep it real, right? First, sometimes you have to get there in person. That means that you have to access public transportation. When you get there, you have to fill out these forms. You have to bring this, bring that, come back in the morning, come back at this time. They have to be in the mood sometimes, depending on who you get, okay? And after all of that, it's like you may get $50, you may get whatever, and you also may get insults depending on who you meet. And so there are some good persons there, but there are some people who need to move from there. In fact, I'll tell you, we have to make social services more of a priority because it is. Until our society is functioning properly, nothing else will work. That's what people don't realize. Until social services works, nothing else will work. Because at the heart of crime, at the heart of the economy, at the heart of all of our challenges is our social services, is the family structure, is the home structure, is society. But people treat social services as if,
Right. Are you disappointed? Because one of the things that we were assured of when VAT was introduced to this country was that there was going to be a sufficient social net to help those persons, because this was not something that was unforeseen. We knew that with the introduction of VAT that we would need a bigger safety net for a lot more Bahamians. And I think that the original PLP administration failed in that respect. The Free National Movement, the last administration could have done more, but one of the things that you did manage to pull off was removing VAT from bread basket items and also removing it from medicines. That, of course, was rolled back. Are you disappointed that we haven't done what we should have done for those persons? And the next Free National Movement administration is removing VAT from bread basket items from medicine something that is a priority for your party?
It is. Sadly, the current administration doesn't want to admit when we put forth good ideas. And so finally, after suggesting it since forever, they said, okay, we'll reduce it by 5%. Because they don't want to take it off, because if they take it off, they feel as if we'd say, I told you
The
so, but we
political win?
won't.
Okay.
We won't. For us, it's about the Bahamian people. So if they had taken it off, we would have just simply applauded
But you
them.
have some texts saying that the 5% vote on certain items is worse than the 12 in their opinion.
Listen.
I don't know how that math is, but hey, if let me know.
Certain items, it just needs to be off, period.
Right.
Period. No percent.
Let's get to this call real quick. Talking heads.
Yeah. Good afternoon. I have to call back.
Is this Philly? Is this Philly, first of all? Philly,
Yeah.
is that you?
This is Philadelphia.
So which
I heard
constituency,
how you
Philly?
class-
Tell us that
So
first.
listen, I heard how you.
West Philadelphia,
I heard how
born
you
and
class
raised.
Philadelphia. I'm not from Philadelphia. I am a Bahamian citizen living in Philadelphia.
Right.
I have not.
So
Oh, I thought it was witness protection at first, so I need to
No,
know.
Philly, we just don't know which constituency you voted in. That's all we want to know, Philly.
Oh! I'm from Grantstown.
Oh,
Grantstown
very
boy.
interesting.
Been in Grantstown, eh?
Thank you, Philly.
Let me call.
Yeah, born and raised in Grantstown before I emigrated.
Uh-huh.
Born and raised in Grantstown before I emigrated to the United States of America.
So how long you been in the U.S.?
How long you been
I've
there?
been in the U.S. for 25 years now.
Wow.
And you've been voting for 25
The
years
whole
and been
time?
in Grantstown?
Yes, sir.
Really?
Since I was 18, I graduated from Garvin High. I've been voting for the PLP.
So, Philly, you come down
And I
here.
would
Just
continue
wait.
to vote for the PLP until the breath leaves my
Philly,
body.
That's your right, man.
Philly, you come down to vote for the PLP, then you jump on the plane and go back to Philadelphia.
And put on his MAGA hat that says Make America Great Again.
Make this make sense, Philly. So you come down just to vote, and then you go back to Philadelphia. Okay, you say Grantstown, right?
Let me ask you. Let me just say this, Philly. All right. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something though, so you know, and don't get it twisted now. I ain't gonna hang up on you and let you go and then say
I
it.
appreciate it.
All right, and take this with no disrespect intended, but let me let you know, in my opinion, it's political supporters like you that make this country a bad place. Because you don't really care enough to live in this country, to fight for this country. You want to tuck tail and run to the United States, to emigrate to America. But yet you could still come down and support a political party. But you don't have you don't have the testicles or the balls, for lack of better words, to stay here and fight every day and build this country. So to me, sir, your opinion really doesn't really matter, because all you are is a vote to keep a political favor going.
Let me,
all right?
Let me just interject that.
Why don't you come home and fight and feel? No, why don't you come home and fight and feel what Bahamians go through every day? PLP, FNM. So you sit on your high horse in America, which ain't too great lately, buddy. If you look around, because your neighbors to the north ready to do you in, and your neighbors to the south ready to cancel Taco Tuesday. You really need to know your role, and your airport still sucks.
Don't hang up on Philly. Philly. More importantly, Philly. Did you?
Philly. Let me speak, please. You have an excellent point. I have not lived under the PLP or the FNM or the ABC or the CIO government for the past.
So basically, you lack testicles, is what I'm saying. You agreeing with that then?
Hang on. There's a more important point. Philly, do you
I'm
know?
agreeing with you, sir.
Philly, do you know that what you're describing to us, just living in the U.S., floating back down here around election time, voting, and then leaving the country is against the law? Do you realize that? You don't live in Grantstown.
I am a Bahamian.
No, but you don't live.
Which constituency you live in?
Live in that constituency.
And don't you have to reside in the constituency for X amount of months before you vote?
I only got a green card.
You sound like a moped trying to start up. I can drop you
I think
now.
we've heard enough from Philly, but
Yeah.
that is the kind of thing we definitely.
Hey, and Philly, whoever your handler is in the war room, they ain't gonna be too happy with that, because you look like Boo Boo the Fool after that. You admit to breaking the law?
Want to discourage that. Him describing just popping in and popping out is not something that our law provides for us.
So the thing
Philly.
about it is, what concerns me is what I said earlier, and that's that our leaders and people don't seem to be able to relate to what ordinary Bahamians face.
Right.
And now I'm being told that somebody flew in, voted them in, and flew out, and now they're flying back, or they intend to fly back to vote for them again. So they don't understand. He doesn't have to go to PMH. He doesn't have to go to PMH if he gets
Philly
sick.
realized what he was
and
saying.
so he's
just now.
literally said that he's been committed over the past 25 years to voting them in no matter what and flying out, and then leaving us to suffer with the administration that he voted in.
Right. I don't think Philly realized what he was saying. Go ahead, Pearlie. I heard you.
Who said it's against the law?
Yeah,
it's
no,
against the law.
it's amazing.
And I just want the government name. Because I will. That vote will get challenged. I promise you that. I don't care who you're voting for. That's against the law.
Grantstown, apparently. Anyway, we have more
All right, let's go
callers
back
on
to
the
the
line.
calls. Talking heads.
Good afternoon, everyone. How y'all doing?
Hi.
What's going on, Mystery?
Everything cool, boy. Naughty, you good, boy. I got to give it to you. You good.
What I do now?
I got to give it to you. You know voices.
Well, yeah, yeah. I mean,
Listen, that Philly cheesesteak just now, he lost me when he mentioned Donald Trump. He literally lost me when he said Donald Trump is doing good for Americans. Okay? He lost me there. All right? Now, if the activities that he be doing by flying over, he's been living in the United States for 25 years. And he hopped a flight to come over just to vote.
Yeah.
Something must be seriously wrong with that.
Yeah.
And he should have not even come on this phone to even mention that, because he don't know what Bahamians are going through in the Bahamas. You understand?
Yeah.
Agreed. Coming over to that is just wrong. He should have stayed off this phone. Y'all
Thank
have a
you.
good day.
Thank you so much,
yes,
Mystery.
All right, let's get to the other call. Talking Heads.
Yes, hi to each of you. This is Cialan John.
Hey, Cialan.
What's happening, Cialan?
He described as 20 years of violation of the law.
Yeah.
Considering the residency requirements. But
Mm-hmm.
this is one of the reasons why we need an economy that we need a leader that understands the vision for the 21st century, that brings around people that understand what it is to take us there. And that's one of the things is the digitization and proper execution of our digital regime, such as our voters registration role, and matches it against points, what they call data points across the economy, so we could make sure who votes is Bahamians that has our interests at heart. But I just want to say for those individuals that understand what is missing from our economy, we are 24 years into the 21st century, and you only need to look at the chart of our growth for 24 years, and it has failed. Tourism has failed us. Banking and financial services has shrank, and it's only embraced in the 21st century. And I would say to previous administration, inclusive of the FNM, especially this one here, if you knew how to do it, why haven't you? And so to ask me for 5 more years to do what you could have done and refused to do or were incapable of doing is unimaginable. But the greatest thing that I think the Bahamians can look forward coming from the administration is an understanding that point of a social safety net is the dignity of work, the dignity of being able to sustain your family, to be able to get the things in life. You should never have to depend on social services when you can move into and make a livable wage. So I would say, in my support of the Free National Movement, especially under the leadership of Michael Pintard, is that I see no other options on the table for a leadership in this 21st century that can move us toward an inclusive, resilient, sustainable opportunity and ownership economy. And if Bahamians want that, promises of all these different economic models, digital economy, blue economy, aquamarine economy, knowledge-based economy, orange economy, all these things they like to use, fintech, redtech. If you want a team of individuals beginning from today that can explain and support the position you need, then the FNM is the only option. Transparency, accountability, integrity, anti-corruption, freedom of information. You have no other choice but the Free National Movement.
Thank you.
I promise you what they can do next time. They have the opportunity to do it now.
Thank you so much, Cialan. Thank you so
All right,
much.
Cialan, thanks so much. Let's get this other call, and then I got to get to the text. Talking Heads.
Yeah, good day, Naughty.
What's happening?
Good day to your guest and MJ.
Good afternoon.
That caller from Philly.
Mm.
Talking about he comes home just to vote.
And go back.
I have a brother who can be 70 this year who's been living in America since we had independence.
Mhm.
He's never been home to vote. He married 3 times in America. Now, what he should do is just drive right up the road to Washington, D.C., while the Prime Minister was up there and protest so ICE could have picked him up. And he think he's safe. They tell Donald who he prays so much, and ICE then pick up on him. You all should get his phone number.
She's a mess, caller.
All right.
You're a mess.
Have a good one. Happy flying out. Yes, sir.
Have a good one.
So just to, in Philly's defense, just a little bit. I don't know what Philly does. Philly works for the Bahamian government, then he does have a right.
Okay.
Because as far as I'm aware, because people do vote abroad if
Sure.
they're students,
Sure.
or if they work for the Bahamian government, or
Sure.
they're immediate family members. So Philly might be working at some embassy or something for 25 years.
He sounds like a hard transplant to me.
Philly says he comes back, right? He says he comes back.
Yes, he did say that.
He says he comes back. He doesn't vote over there and send his vote back. Yeah, no, Philly. Oh,
he worked for the embassy.
Philly sounds
silly. Philly.
Yeah.
Boy,
dilly, Philly.
Start something today, Philly.
All right, we got to go to the text lines. Good afternoon, Naughty MJ and Senator Seymour. Great show as always. It's always great to have MJ on, Naughty. The PRP is really good at talking and even better at breaking ground. That's all they do is break ground. These people are so rude, they don't care. They do worse when the PRP is in power. The hospital is a mess. Some of the operating theaters are not functioning. The list goes on and on. Again, the PRP is really good at talking and breaking ground. They do nothing else. And sometimes when they talk, it's not like they break and win. But anyway, that's a different story for another day. Because I tired of the bad BS. I want to hear some, new school BS. At least impress me with that, All right, let's get to these other texts real quick. Because I got to get to them. Good afternoon, Naughty, and my favorite talk show host, MJ. Did you see what happened in Parliament today when they asked Aaron Lewis to take the chair and the PRP members banging the chair? Listen, stop.
I did see that.
And listen, let me put this out.
Boy, the COI ain't beating those rumors, boy. They ain't beating those allegations of collusion.
Hold on.
They ain't beating that.
Sir. Now, Mr. Bain, Purdy, we got to do another sit down. Lincoln got to sit down with the mod squad again because I got a couple of questions to ask. I mean, I just see a consistent focus on Lincoln, you need to come on and tell me what is your fixation, what is your healthy man crush with the leader of the opposition, Mr. Michael Pintodd. I need to know. Because Brad Davis could knock over 18 infants in front of you and you wouldn't see that. But boy, let me tell you, if Pintodd burped the wrong way, we got a problem. Boy, if like the young people say, boy, that's some serious liking man right there. You need to ease up. And you can come back because the invitation is always there. Huh?
I'll tell you one thing, Naughty. I hear people keep saying that the FNM ain't saying what they can do. The FNM ain't saying what they can do. What you can do? You keep bashing the PLP. What you can do? The leader of the opposition come out and said he wants to have a separate fire division, separate from the police. And now they say the COI about to bring a bill. Now talk about you want them to tell you what their plans are so you can copy their plans?
Well, when there is no vision, when there's no original thought, it's like comedy. If you don't have that original thought, I mean, you're just a hack.
No, but it's too funny. You can't write this. You can't write this, Naughty.
But I know a hack when I see one after 27 years. Please allow me to say that.
Go ahead, Senator.
Real talk.
But let me just add this.
Said that he wants to have an independent fire division.
Yeah, we read that.
Then you can jump up and say, Iron is going to bring a bill. Like that was always their plan. Talk about copycat dirty rat. My goodness.
My question is, why are you bragging over something? Like, okay, yes, Mr. Lewis got 5 minutes to sit in the speaker's chair. That is the equivalent of the starter is injured. The backup come in and the backup pull a hamstring. The third string, who was actually MP Cornish from Abaco, who was actually on a party break, he had to go pee-pee. The third string injured. So now you, the water boy, hey, Bobby Boucher, comes sit in the chair for a minute. The only thing is you ain't no Bobby Boucher, Mr. Lewis.
I was about to say that.
You ain't that talented. However, if that's the lowest hanging fruit, if that's an accomplishment for the COI, that you held the speaker's chair for 5 minutes while a member was on bathroom break who was supposed to, I mean, come on, what did you really do to impact the country in your 5 minutes? Did you make it impactful or did you just floss? Click, likes, and hype. That's it.
You really can't believe Bahamian people that naive and that dumb. You can't. You insulting me as a Bahamian by saying and doing some of these things. That's an insult to me.
Yeah, and we have to do our research on whether.
It has nothing to do with what party you support. Come on, man, we got common sense. Don't do that to me.
But this administration doesn't think very highly of us as Bahamian people, so.
Yeah, I know we keep getting that. Let's get to these other texts. And boy, they flying in. All right, here we go. Good afternoon. Ooh, that's a long one. Wait a minute. There we go. Naughty, can you please ask Senator Seymour if they will implement an MP recall system if they do not implement the Freedom of Information Act, which we definitely need?
It's definitely something now that the texter has raised it that I will take back to the party for us to review and consider.
Naughty, good afternoon to you and MJ, and good afternoon to your guests. Can Senator Seymour explain to me why FNM wasn't reelected? I could tell you 2 words.
Let's let the senator
Human
answer.
minutes. Anyway, go ahead.
The senator answer.
The reality is when
well,
something...
3 words. Go ahead.
When things happen, people do look for someone to blame. That's just a fact. And we held election during the height of a pandemic, and there were so many challenges. I talk to voters regularly as I walk the constituency, and I've heard varying feedback. And so, yes, part of it might have been leadership. Part of it was fair. Some people told me they weren't going to dip their thumb into communal ink to risk getting, COVID-19. Some of it was just apathy. And so there are so many reasons why we didn't get reelected. But for sure, there's a year to go, and we are ready to govern in 2026. Or if, like our leader has noted, the election is called prior to then.
Has the party taken a good hard look at itself, kind of like a post-mortem since the last election? And I will concede that the turnout was not what it has traditionally been for, Bahamian general elections. But has the party taken a look at it? I mean, you would say, electing a new leader is a big step in a different direction that people were crying for. But have you looked at maybe some of the policies that weren't popular in the past and at least try to reconcile some new policies that may be, more appealing to Bahamians and to voters?
Since the last election, mirrors all around on the walls. That's all we've been doing
Really?
is, listen, it's been about introspection. That's what it's been.
Okay.
We've looked at it, we've listened to the voters, we've heard their hearts, and we understand what we could do better. And that is what you would hear this current leader continuously saying, that we're committing to being a better version of ourselves. And so, like I said originally, there are some tenets that the F&M stands on, transparency, accountability, that are consistent throughout administrations. But this leader has committed, and we have all committed, to being an even better version of ourselves. And so, yes.
One thing I've heard about the current leader of the Free National Movement, Mr. Pintard, is that he's more collaborative. Like, he seeks input, and he's not the type of person to just make decisions without getting input, other advice, maybe different points of views from other persons. Is that something that you would say is your experience with him, that he listens to his colleagues as opposed to just being unilaterally, the person just makes a decision and that's it?
That's very important. And he has served throughout various administrations and knows what it's like to be at the table. And so, yes, he listens.
Okay, I got one for a text. I think this reeks of 52. This sounds like 52 because nobody's put the rhymes together like 52. And we got a poem here. Naughty MJ and your guest. I'm tired of being a slave, tired of being in a cave, tired of brave. We need to break out in rave because Brave and his goon cabinet squad don't know how to behave. Boy, 52, you're rolling today. That sound like you. That sound like you.
I mean, not be, but anyway.
All right. I don't know what that text is right there. All right, let's get to this call. Before I get to that call, that's Philly call back for the third time.
Oh, boy.
So if you want to have some fun, let's have some fun.
All right, hold on the line, Philly. Hold on the line.
We'll get to you in a second. Let's get these other texts out of the way. 95% is much worse. There's absolutely a lack of clarity on which items are valuable at 5%. Food stores are not clear as well. It's crazy the confusion that's being caused to save 30 cents on a purchase. Do we need a minister of Grand Bahama, or can we get rid of that ministry altogether?
Good question.
I really wish Grand Bahama.
We do need it if the minister of Grand Bahama would do the job.
Yes, I agree with you. I agree with you that, if Grand Bahama was what Grand Bahama should have been at this point, absolutely we would benefit from having a minister of Grand Bahama. But as it stands now, the position does look kind of pointless. It truly does.
Naughty, MJ and your guest, that Philly vote needs to be challenged. I wonder who else like Philly is overseas. Hope Dave didn't tell them to call. Wonder if Anton knows him. He don't care about the people of the Bahamas. He don't know how Baintown even looks.
Let's go to Philly. Philly can tell us.
Wait. Let's get all of these out of the way.
Go ahead.
Naughty, the CEO leader copies many things he talks about. Yeah. But when I say it, I get upset, but it's getting out there now. Naughty and MJ and your guests, imagine the PRP having a backbench so weak that they have to look to the COI to sit in the chair. Tell me the PRP ain't on the way out. What's next? Lincoln Bain is leader of the PRP in the next election? Talk about antics.
Or could be a candidate.
Yeah.
I said that, sorry.
Oh, my.
You all need to ask the Bahamian people for ideas. There are plenty of great ideas out here to make our country a better place.
True.
Are the F&M open and receptive to ideas from the voting populace?
Good point.
Absolutely. Nobody knows what they need like the Bahamian people. And that's why we've been listening to them, and we continue to listen to them.
Naughty, MJ, and your guest, given the immigration climate in the USA today, and an extra special hello to MJ.
Hi.
All right, so let's get to the phone lines real quick. Talking heads.
Hi. Hey.
Yes.
Go ahead, Philly.
Hey, Philly.
Philly calling you.
Go ahead, Philly.
Yeah, I am sitting in traffic. On 95, so I can talk all day.
Okay.
But Naughty, listen to me carefully, please. Just give me the mic for a second. I understand what you said. I have never lived under any government of the Commonwealth of Bahamas for the past 25 years. The last time I was at Princess Margaret Hospital was back in the early 90s. Yes, the conditions were terrible. But nevertheless, my entire family is PLP voters. And I cannot break that cycle. I come home and I vote and I come back to the U.S. At the end of the day, I am a Bahamian citizen. Point blank.
I want to ask one question. Did you vote for Barack Obama?
I can't vote. I supported him. I do support him. I do support the Democratic Party over here.
So let me.
I am highly
Hold
involved.
on, but now you broke the cycle in supporting a Republican president.
No, sir.
Okay, let me ask you this question, caller.
Yes, sir.
Can you give us your name?
No. I do.
No, I mean, you just, okay, let me know something, Philly. Let me just let you know something again.
But maybe
All right,
we made some headway with Philly today.
Now,
Let's
Philly,
see.
let me just double down on it. Not only do you lack testicular fortitude because you've lived away for 25 years, you don't have the bollocks or the backbone, you don't have the bass in your bagpipes, all right, to come and fight for this country, make suggestions, and get on your beloved PLP to do better. No, you see that you're a sheep because all of your family voted PLP. That means you can't break the cycle and break the mold and think for yourself and look outside the box and do something different. So, I mean, to me right now, you weak back and weak-minded to tell you the truth.
Let's approach this differently. Philly, can I?
But that's my opinion. That's how I feel, and I'm entitled to it.
Philly, if I
That's the problem. We got too many weak men like him in this country. That's why we can't get what we need to be.
Let me get this in here.
No, that's why he wasn't even strong enough to stay. That's why he broke off.
I want to ask you a question.
Time out 1 second.
I want to
Philly,
ask you a question.
She can talk
Philly.
whenever she wants. You don't tell me nothing. You don't have the backbone to do that. I only respect alphas, not betas.
Can you give me a second, please? Thank you. I want to ask Philly a question. Philly, we've said to you that the way that you fly in and you don't have any vested interest in this country outside of coming in, following your family line and voting the way that you guys have always voted, but the fact that you don't live under the consequences of your vote, that is not only, kind of unethical and immoral, but it's also against some of our laws. Now that we've informed you that you shouldn't be flying in, voting for the PLP, and then flying back to Philly, are you going to reconsider that practice that you have perpetrated for 20-something odd years, now that we've told you?
No, ma'am. I can't wait for the election to come. No, ma'am.
So you're going to still come in and you're going to attempt to do it again at the next election?
Yes, ma'am. Can't wait.
Okay. All right.
Take it on there.
So you said Grantstown, right? We got that on the record.
But
Thank
just
you.
let me tell you
Thank
something.
Philly.
Find that.
Thank you, Philly.
And Philly,
trust me.
I mean,
Thank you, Philly.
and what makes you even weaker is you can't even put your name to it. Let me let you know something. My name is Inigo Aitor Threnica Celaya, born right here in Nassau, Bahamas. And whatever I say, I stick my name to it. All right? No, you don't know me because I's mine and you definitely ain't mine. You jelly back. All right? I don't run with your kind.
Let's let the senator
let me
comment.
just
It's very
say
strange.
that,
You don't participate in your kind of fun.
in Phil crying out for help.
Yeah.
Because he literally said that he's voted PLP for the past 25 years, as has his family, and he said that he cannot break the cycle. And so it sounds as if he himself knows that voting at all is not right, and then voting PLP is not right, but he sounds like he's just stuck in that particular mindset. And so we have to support him through this, and hopefully he'll open his eyes and understand that he can break the cycle with support, because each of us is given a vote to exercise in the way we choose. And so we should not allow ourselves to be forced into voting wrong because it's tradition.
But you know what galls me, though? That you're actually sitting there bragging about breaking the law, thumbing your nose in front of Bahamians who respect the electoral process. And for lack of a better word, have we not heard instances of voting irregularities with the PLP?
Of course, and
now you're bragging about it?
But this is who they are. This is what they're about. The leaders are breaking the law.
How cold are they that they got a minion that they know calling the show? Because they listen. Their war room is listen. We know that. We've established that. And at the end of the day, you're going to let this dude call back 3 times and thumb his finger under his nose in our face that he's going to illegally vote?
But
are you all serious?
illegality is their MO. I mean, that is who they are. So that's true to character. I'm not surprised. I don't know why you're allowing him to unruffle your feathers because the PLP, they break the law. That's what they do.
It's kind of disappointing to hear,
Whether it's the
Philly.
leaders or their followers.
And Philly, if you're still listening, because you said you were stuck in traffic, I do want you to reconsider your actions because as we've said already on this show, what you're doing is illegal. And now that we're aware of that, be warned that we will be on guard, looking out for you, Philly, because what you're doing is not right.
Everything rises and falls with leadership. Knowing this particular administration, they'll probably attempt to amend the law. This is who they are.
We're not going to allow that, Philly.
Lawbreakers.
What you're doing is wrong, and you need to cease and desist.
Senator Seymour, it's been great. We got to get to the break, but we want to invite you back again because it's been candid. The phones have been lit, the text lines have been lit, and you spoke to something that's very...
Philly called.
3 times. You got to find in Philly.
You got to find in Philly.
But you spoke to issues like MJ brought up and spoke to the healthcare issues, the social service issues. These are very important to Bahamians, the cost of living. All right? There are other segments of society that have other issues, but the everyday Joe and Jane that goes to work, these things are important. The VAT is important. The healthcare is important. So please continue to get the information and bring it to us. And what I like about the fact is you're pushing accountability and transparency. Yeah. And that means to say if the FNM is in as the next administration of this company, then they could take questions afterwards because they are transparent and accountable, and there will not be, well, see what had happened or I got to catch a flight. That's what we're looking for.
Thank you so much for having me on this show. And you're right, people are our priority, and we will continue to work toward our policies as we look forward to forming the next government and making the...
Thank you so much, Senator Seymour. It's been a great conversation.
Let Coach know the game on, okay?
Oh, Lord. All night. He lives on the West Coast time zone.
All right. And guess what? Just so you know, Philly, if you're still listening, I've had about 4 people text and say they got a real special Airbnb. You could stay in there and you won't come home to vote.
Be careful. All right, you guys. I think that's a wrap for us for today.
It's a wrap for MJ. Sure. For Pearlie, for our special guest, Senator Seymour, this is your boy Naughty. We're wrapping it up today. We'll see you tomorrow right here on Talking Heads. And like I say, be good, Bahamas. And if you can be good at it.
From cultures, and never going out and coming in.
Naughty Johnny's restaurant can only be described as the experience you want to recreate again and again and again. Their motto is simple food done well. You're welcome into their home at Naughty Johnny's where you can dine on crack conch fritters, and other Bahamian favorites. There's also an international flair that's guaranteed to offer something for everyone. Enjoy a good meal and listen to a live band on their patio Friday and Saturday nights, or brunch on Saturday and Sunday, only at Naughty Johnny's restaurant in the Old Town Plaza, Old Fort. They're open 11 a.m. till 10 p.m. Monday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Friday, 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. on Saturday, and 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. on Sunday. Naughty Johnny's, well worth the trip.
Cancer Treatment Centers of America is now City of Hope, creating one of the leading cancer care and research networks from coast to coast, providing more of what you need. More locations means more care closer to home. More specialists means more expertise. More research means more breakthroughs. More advancements means more treatment options. And more options means more hope. Learn more at cancercenter.com.
For fast, reliable, and impactful printing services, look no further. Let Printmasters bring your masterpiece to life, second to none. Our affordable pricing and friendly, efficient staff makes Printmasters the ultimate choice for all your printing needs. We can deliver any type of printing services, from banners to booklets to business cards. You name it, we can print it.
Let Printmasters bring your masterpiece to life.
Located in the Nassau Guardian Building, telephone 302-2361.
Since 1989, Joker's Wild Comedy Club has been the heart of laughter in the Bahamas. But now an era is coming to a close. Join us May 20th to the 25th for the final shows with your headliner for the evening.
For my guy, comedian Tommy Davidson.
Joker's Wild Comedy Club has hosted world-class comedians from the early days of Steve Harvey and legends like Jay Leno and Damon Wayans. Joker's Wild has been more than just a comedy club. It's been a home for laughter and creativity.
We gotta start loving each other. Stop it. We stereotype too. Black people, white people can't dance. White people dance their ass off, just different.
Tommy Davidson, along with featured comedian Kirk Green and house comedian Naughty. Don't miss your last chance to experience the magic. May 20th to the 25th, Joker's Wild Comedy Club. Admission $50. Get your tickets now at